Welcome to Between the Covers. We have quite the evening planned and quite the rowdy audience too, I might add. And we also have our first ever book launch of a brand new book. So this is a trend we are starting. We have champagne. We are all ready for everything. Before we get to that, a couple of words of welcome to our sponsors, Don Pablo Coffee. If you're an author, you know that you need your good cup of coffee to keep you up all night, so please drink Don Pablo Coffee. I also want to mention that if you want to join our Between the Covers book club, we have an online book club that you'll be getting free books, Kindle copies, things like that, and notices about all of our shows. I always give our guests a Between the Cover club card, but we actually have 2 returning guests, so only 1 club card. So please welcome, well, first our author, Kieran Larkin, who is a returning guest, but this is your first time as an author. True. And Elyse Hayes, who is the librarian from the Seminary at Immaculate Conception, thankfully rejoining us again on the air, so you don't get a card. And Brother John McGrory, who is a librarian and a teacher of about 700 different subjects at Chaminade High School.
And religion.
Wait, German?
German, Latin, and religion.
German, Latin, and religion. Wow. And I know you're also the librarian there.
Yes.
In your spare time.
In my spare time.
Well, please. Now, a library card.
Oh, wonderful.
See, our library cards are good for, well, coming here and getting free wine. Whenever you want. And also so that you can borrow books, because any of our authors who are on, we have a Between the Covers library with all of our books. So
I love libraries.
I know you love libraries. And we have our own library right here.
Right.
So lots and lots of books. I see a stack of books here that we're going to be signing and all sorts of things. But first, I think we need some champagne. Anybody know how to open these things? You know how to do this? You can do your own champagne?
I'm trying to point this away from anything.
Yeah, like don't point towards the lights or anything. I'm scared. These things really scare me. Ooh. All right. Thank you. And to the new book. Can you hold it up so that we can even
I can certainly
see
hold it up.
The new book?
It's called Messengers of God, a survey of Old Testament prophets. And it's pretty much what it claims to be, a survey of a number of the prophets from the Old Testament who I find particularly inspirational.
Well, this is why we had to have on our Bible experts with you, because, I mean, I've read the book, but I don't know that I could manage at Bible trivia, but I didn't warn you there's Bible trivia, did I? Oh, it's easy stuff. It's like how many animals of each kind went onto the ark?
I'll take profits for 2,000.
Exactly. It's like that. You will manage just fine. But before we get to your book, I did want to mention that we have a new charity that we're taking care of, which is the Book Fairies. And the Book Fairies, we collect books for the Book Fairies. And if anybody comes to the show and you have books that you would like to contribute to the Book Fairies, just let me know. Just bring them here, or I can come by and pick them up. The Book Fairies are fabulous. Not only do they distribute books here on Long Island, and I was shocked to hear how many schools on Long Island don't have books. They don't have libraries, or they have some empty room with no books. So what the Book Fairies do is they collect literally 50,000 books every single month. They have a huge warehouse, and I went there where they're sorting all of the books into chapter books, test preparation books, all sorts of things, and they distribute them to the schools that have no books. They have one Saturday a month that teachers all over Long Island can just come up, fill their trunks with all the books they want, and any of the books that don't get used here on Long Island get put on a huge barge and shipped over to Africa. And they are helping with books to, I think it's about 50 different libraries in Africa. So if you have any books that you are finished with, or maybe those books that you said you were going to read but you never got around to, please remember the Book Fairies, and you can bring them by to the show. And we have a little Red Penguin Books gift for you, not to mention you can have some champagne with us. So what are you reading now? I mean, besides your own book, because you finished with that, right?
Well, as much as I found writing this book to be very inspirational and very much in keeping with what I do for a living, I have to admit that when it comes to recreational reading, I like political thrillers black ops stories.
So you're not sitting around reading the Bible for
No,
fun?
I am not. God help me for saying that.
Well, no.
But I'm just starting the lead child's series of the Jack Reacher books.
Oh, okay.
So that will take me quite a while to get through.
How many of those are there?
Oh, God. I think I'm up to number 8 now.
Oh, really?
But I know there's still some to go. I'm not quite sure how many.
Yeah, those kinds of authors just
They hold my interest.
Well, you know what was funny? Last week, you were donating books to the book fairies, and we had a big box of books, and they said, "Oh, Clive Cussler. We know exactly where those are going." They wanted them on Rikers Island. That was one of their authors of choice over there.
Well, if they're reading books, they're not getting into trouble. That's probably a
Well,
very
how
good
much
thing.
trouble could you get into over there? Elyse, what are you reading right now?
I'm reading a book called Staritsa, which is about Catherine Doherty. Catherine Doherty was a contemporary of Dorothy Day and Thomas Merton. So there's a priest in the New York area that wrote this book about her.
Wow.
And he did a lot of research in the archives, reading her correspondence and so forth. So, and actually he's coming to our library Sunday to give a talk on the book. And it's really interesting. It's a fascinating woman.
Fantastic.
Catherine Doherty.
Oh, I haven't read it yet, so I'll have to. I know you put your book talks on as podcasts.
So a couple of weeks from now, it'll be online as a podcast.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I put a link to your podcast so our viewers can listen also?
Yeah, we have a whole list of them.
I know you do. So we can, absolutely.
idea.
We can get some more listeners listening to your podcast.
Good,
That would be
good
great.
idea. Okay.
And Brother John, what are you reading right now?
Well, first off, I'm reading Kieran's book.
Well, there's that. I hope you studied because there is a quiz today.
I'm ready for it.
All right.
I'm glad one of us is.
But like Kieran, for entertainment, I like spy novels and thrillers and things. And as Kieran can tell you, with speech and debate tournaments, there's some downtime and traveling time. So I just purchased the new Jeffrey Deaver book.
Oh, fantastic.
I don't even remember the name of it because it just arrived this morning. But that's what I'll be starting now.
All right. Well, we're just going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be back with our author. Thank you. I don't have my clock.
The sun is getting warmer, but when we soar away among the clouds, the sky is just a border. But when we're floating up like helium,
Do you have a book, either in your head or on your desk, just waiting to get out to anxious readers? Hi, I'm Stephanie Larkin, author, book developer, and head penguin at Red Penguin Books. We're a publishing company specializing in books of all genres and publishing in all formats, including digital, audible, and print books. From business books to romance, memoirs to mysteries, our authors have complete control over their books from start to print. We'll help get your book to booksellers all around. Major booksellers such as Amazon, Apple, Kobo, Walmart, even libraries and bookstores around the world. We believe in our authors. So call or email today to get your free publisher's packet to get started. Just visit us at redpenguinbooks.com and get your book out there and into the hands of your readers. At Red Penguin Books, you call all the shots. So call us today and turn your dreams into a reality. to Between the Covers. Well, I know our new author very, very well since I happen to be fortunate to be married to him for the past 22 years. But besides that, he's an expert in, well, not just the prophets of the Old Testament, but has also been teaching religion for the past
40 years.
40 years. Okay, longer than I've even known him. So I think that he didn't even have to open a book to do this. He just kind of opened his brain and poured it in. Is that what happened?
Well, I think you're giving me way too much credit.
After 40 years.
I cannot think of anything I would rather do than teach, and I can't think of any other subject I would rather teach than religion.
Isn't that wonderful?
So it really is a question of having your cake and eating it too. I don't know that I'd call myself an expert on any level, as much as someone who finds this incredibly interesting and inspirational.
Well, you're in good company because you're with people who love religious books
Absolutely.
here.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And, I found the two people on the line.
I'm sharing a couch with the great. That in and of itself is very inspirational.
So why the Old Testament prophets? I mean, before, what I know of the Old Testament prophets, I've heard of Daniel, Elijah. I see that there's a lot more than just Daniel and Elijah in here, so why the Old Testament prophets?
Well, that's part of it. The fact that you could only rattle off two names.
Well, I read the book.
I know.
I could rattle
and
off.
And I know that you know a lot more than those two names.
But that's the biggies.
Well, I think there are two things going on here. We live in a very, very secular world, and role models of today tend to be media figures, sports stars, and I have no problem with media figures and sports stars. They can be incredibly wonderful people. But I think that sometimes we need to go back to our roots, go back to our history for further inspiration. I've never really, up until recently, explored the Old Testament with any real verve, I guess. But as I've read the Old Testament, as I've taught religion, one thing kept surfacing all the time, and that was that the prophets, whose exploits dominate big chunks of the Old Testament, are individuals who are incredibly inspirational. On the one hand, they hold a special place because God has called them to perform a certain function. So just for that reason alone, I think you almost have to put them on a pedestal.
Right.
But it's the fact that what God very often asked them to do was so incredibly challenging and difficult. We had this, I think, preconceived notion that people loved the prophets. When a prophet would show up in town, everybody like E.F. Hutton, would
They were like
listen.
constantly being thrown in jail
Exactly.
when I read the book.
And if anything, it was the exact opposite.
Right.
People didn't want to hear what they had to say. So much of what the prophets had to say was condemnatory. Right. You're failing God. God's mad at you. You're going to be punished. People don't want to hear that. So very, very often, the prophets would wind up either being ignored or being persecuted. Sometimes they were even killed, and jailed, whatever it might be. And for them to continue to do what God asked them to do, really in the face of tremendous opposition,
Right.
I think is incredibly inspirational. And, if we went through prophet by prophet, each one of these individuals has a very, very different story to tell.
Right.
And they each faced different types of hardships. And I think that we have a tendency to lump them all together as if they're all cut from the same cloth. And I don't think anything could be further from the truth.
I think you're absolutely right. I think people look at figures from the Bible and they think of Jesus, and then maybe Moses or Noah, who was probably fake, and he makes the top three. And all the other ones are very much lesser. So it's really a great idea to bring them forward, especially since they're not lesser. And you did bring some even lesser ones forward.
Well, I think
I mean, there were some that are pretty lesser.
Well, absolutely. I mean, when you look at the Old Testament, you have some prophets who are called major prophets.
Right.
Other prophets are called minor prophets. And it's not because of the importance of their message as the length of their writings.
Right.
If you wrote a lot, you're a major prophet. If you wrote shorter text, you're a minor prophet.
Well, it's kind of like we treat our authors. We want those big fat books. Although nowadays people have a very short attention span. And what's really selling on Amazon are the really skinny books. So, or at least, downloadable things. So maybe those minor prophets would do very well in modern America with the shorter attention span.
But, I think with this particular book, I wrote that really primarily to be, call it a primer, I guess,
right,
to introduce prophets to maybe a generation that is largely unfamiliar with them.
Okay.
And if it piques the interest of some people and they want to explore the prophets on a deeper level, then as far as I'm concerned, I've accomplished what I wanted to.
Well, let me ask you one more question, and then I'm going to ask our panel of experts, so they should listen too. After writing all this, do you have a favorite?
No. I would be averse to singling out one. I think that they are so different from one another.
Okay.
You can admire one thing about one of them, admire something totally different about a second one.
Okay. Boy, someone's being politically correct.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying.
Did any of them surprise you when you started doing the research for the book that you said, wow, I thought they were kind of here, but I'm really kind of dazzled by them? How's that?
I don't know that I was surprised by them as much as touched by what they had to endure.
Okay.
Just for one example, the prophet Hosea is called upon by God to fall in love with and marry a prostitute who is going to be unfaithful to him repeatedly. And and everybody sees what's going on. There were no secrets in those days. And to endure that type of humiliation is something that no other prophet really had to deal with. And when God does this, God is really sending out a signal to the Israelites. The Israelites have been unfaithful to God by worshiping other gods. And Gomer, the wife, the prostitute, represents the Israelites. Hosea himself represents God. And hopefully God is hoping that when the Israelites see how much pain Gomer is causing to Hosea by her infidelity, they'll realize the pain they're causing God by his infidelity. And when ultimately Hosea, forgives Gomer and welcomes her back, I think that God was hoping that the Israelites realize he will also welcome them back, and they turn a new leaf.
Okay, that sounds like quite the circuitous route. The Israelites get it?
Some. I'm sure that some did not. But that was just one type of a humiliation that he endured that I didn't see happening to any of the other prophets. They were humiliated in different ways.
Right. But that made you have a little soft
Maybe
spot.
as a married man.
Mm-hmm. I'm not doing anything.
I'm just
saying
worried.
On television.
Yeah. But maybe for that reason, that really struck a nerve with me.
Okay. Brother John, Elyse, do either of you by chance have a favorite prophet? You haven't read the,
I haven't read the whole book. I know that at Mass we seem to read Isaiah the most. And
Yes.
Of course, he's spectacular, and you can't beat the writing.
Right,
it's
right.
so beautiful. I don't know why we emphasize one prophet over the other. Do you know why do we
I was
read
going to
Isaiah?
say that I like Isaiah because while he certainly does have his condemnatory statements, there's a lot of hope in it. Mm-hmm. There's a good deal of hope that God will come to rescue his people, and that no matter how bad it is as they're facing their enemies, God will be with them. And then certainly then later on the story of the suffering servant of Isaiah, which we read during Holy Week, so much of it prefigures the New Testament story of Jesus Christ. That's why I would say.
Okay, so we got to vote for Isaiah.
That's probably why we read him in the Mass.
But some of them are quite interesting, like, for example, Amos.
Mm-hmm. He's another fascinating
Amos
one.
is a fascinating man. He was, as a dresser of sycamores, which meant he took care of trees. And he came in, and the king said, well, who are you to tell us? He said, I don't know. God just told me to do this, and I'm here. Here it is. Bye. Or Jonah, the unwilling prophet.
Yes, the very unwilling prophet.
I think in the book I called him the anti-prophet. Yes. Does everything backwards. God says go here, I'm not going there, I'm going there.
Right.
Finally he goes on the mission and he's growling about and grousing that God sent him on this mission. He doesn't want to do it.
And then he was annoyed, wasn't he, that God forgave them and he wanted God to
God
punish
wanted them
more?
punished, yeah.
He wants to see the town destroyed.
It's kind of like Game of Thrones.
What was
Spoiler alert.
What was unique about Jonah was God sends him to deliver a message to the enemies of Israel, and a message. You're going down the wrong path. Shape up. And he doesn't want to deliver a message. He's afraid that God is going to forgive them. He doesn't want them forgiven. He wants them killed. And when he goes there, the ultimate
Nasty
irony
man.
is when he finally gets there, and he's a total stranger. They listen to him. They start repenting. They start doing the right thing, and he's still mad. He's been successful in his ministry. People are, changing the way they do things, and he still wants them destroyed. So, with Jonah's just a poor excuse for a prophet. He really is.
Did you hear that, Jonah?
He would probably agree.
Well, I hope that my panel here, besides knowing about the prophets, took a really good look at this cover. Because I know that Kieran, when he put together the book, wanted pictures of all the prophets. And when I was helping you to put them together, I discovered that there was only 3 prophets. Because if you look very closely, there's actually only 3 pictures, and then they put them in different outfits.
They changed their facial hair.
Yeah, like the beard, no beard, face left, face right, red shirt, white shirt. Well, we're going to take a short commercial break, and then we're going to play Name That Prophet. So I do hope that you took here's your last chance to take a really good look at the prophets, and we will be right back.
That's right, keep it going, keep it going. That's right, keep it going, keep it going.
Are you a tie lover? You love the diversity in ties because they come in different colors, fabrics, patterns, etc. Get access to a wide variety of neckties. Buy from or trade with other tie lovers. Don't wear ties anymore? You have more ties than you know what to do with? Want to turn all those ties into real money? Do you just need a tie? You just need a tie for a special occasion. Now you can buy a tie today and sell it tomorrow. The Necktie Exchange, the online retailer where you buy, sell, and trade neckties. Register today.
Welcome back to Between the Covers. Thanks for joining us. Well, we have a little surprise for our author.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you should be afraid. Well, because besides it being your book launch party, it is also your birthday.
I knew that.
So, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kieran. Happy birthday to you. What do you think?
I think that the audience needs to see
Oh,
this.
absolutely. Somebody needs to take a picture of this for me.
This is a cake with the cover of the book.
Well, because we're going to name that prophet. So, hey.
Now-
Thank you, JK.
I noticed that there are 5 candles and 1. Is that representative of anything?
That is representative of all the white candles we had in the house.
Okay,
So
there you go.
coordinate.
I guess I should blow them out now?
Well,
Okay.
we can't eat until you
No,
blow
we
them
can't.
out.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, trick candles.
Trick candles.
There we go.
Okay, now while we're eating the cake, I'm going to take requests on what prophet everybody wants to eat. So do we all know which one is?
I've never eaten a prophet.
You've never
before.
eaten a prophet before. So what do you think? You like it?
I think this is fabulous. I love this. I am deeply touched.
All right, now we're going to see, and then we're going to start slicing up some cake
Okay.
for everybody. I'm going to be kind with our Name That Prophet game.
Oh, thank goodness.
Oh, good.
I'm going to separate them between the major prophets and the minor prophets.
Okay.
And we'll start with the major prophets. Now, your trick candles are... Now, if our audience knows and our guests don't, feel free because there are prizes. So just to remind everyone who has not yet read the book, see, I'm giving you hints galore. Our major prophets are Samuel, Nathan, Elijah, Elisha, Amos, Hosea, Isaiah, Micah, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Daniel, and Jonah. So we're going to start with our first prophet of choice. See if we can get it off of a picture, and then I'll start reading the hints. I'll start with the quote. Mortal man, I am sending you to the people of Israel.
Ezekiel.
Well, you wrote the book.
Never mind.
All right. I will let you have a point, but he's going to sit on his tongue.
Okay.
In fact, he should have sat on his tongue because point number 2 that I put about Ezekiel is that his tongue was paralyzed and he was confined to his home. I knew that. All right, 1 point for you.
I'll
You're
shut
not
up.
allowed to get anything until the third
Fair
hint
enough.
from now on. Our next one. Quote is, I am better off dead than alive. Hint number 1. He was sent to the city of Nineveh.
Jonah.
There you go. I did hear some audience members with that too. Okay, next one. This prophet's quote is, you are that man. His ministry extended...
Nathan.
Wow. We might have to let the author start guessing. Our next one. You have been weighed on the scales and found to be light. I love that quote. It sounds like he went on a diet. He was a hostage in the court
Daniel.
of... Boy, I didn't even get to the part about the
Mene Tekel.
lion's
Mene
den.
Tekel.
Excellent.
Oh,
Weighed,
my.
found one.
Somebody read the book.
You mean the Bible?
Well, that book, too. I mean, there's that book, the book. Next one. Oh, the quote's going to give it away. Bethlehem, out of you I will bring a ruler for Israel.
Isaiah.
Wrong. But
Zechariah.
close. Wrong.
Oh.
Micah.
The prophet Micah was actually the one who foretold the coming of our Lord from Bethlehem.
That's right.
Micah, who knew? Okay. Our next prophet, O Lord my God, restore this child to life. He is known as the father of the prophets. He had a showdown on Mount Carmel with the priests of...
Elijah.
Yes, one for the audience. Woo! Glad to see they're learning something at Chaminade. Next one. The quote is, the people of Israel are not my people and I am not their God.
Micah.
We had Micah.
We did.
Okay, the first hint is going to give it away. His wife was unfaithful. He has a famous song.
Hosea.
Famous song.
He has a famous song. His flesh became firm and healthy like that of a child. That is the weirdest quote. You put that quote.
Yes, I did.
That's weird. His mentor was Elijah.
Alicia.
Yes!
Elisha cured a Syrian general Naaman of leprosy.
Okay,
And that was his most famous miracle, I think.
Okay,
so
but
that's
it's
where that quote
still
came
a
from.
weird quote. Okay. The people who walk in darkness have seen a great light. Isaiah. Another vote for winning Sean, learning something. Okay. I will put my law within them and write it on their hearts. And my first hint is, he was a bullfrog.
Jeremiah.
You want to tell us the real stuff about Jeremiah? Because I wrote he was a bullfrog.
Well, he was much more than a bullfrog.
Oh, well, you know.
But he's a prophet who made a number of predictions, all of which came true. But at the time he delivered his prophecies, the people of Jerusalem and Judea thought he was both a traitor and a coward. Because he was telling the people God was going to punish them by having the Babylonians come in and conquer them, and they were supposed to just lay down their weapons and not fight back. But if they fight back, the Babylonians would destroy the city. So they thought he was a coward. They thought he was a traitor. So, of course, they fought back, and the city was destroyed.
This really is like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Okay, our next person. Speak, Lord, your servant is listening. He was a prophet, priest, and judge. His mother, Hannah, gave him to God. Yes. And the last of the majors. So if you were paying attention, you don't need me to say anything. Let justice flow like a stream of righteousness like a river. Born in the southern kingdom, but called to minister to the northern kingdom. Yes! Okay, now, if you think you're so smart, the minor prophets. Joel, Obadiah.
It means servant of the Lord.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. So our first one is a minor prophet. Why should you be living in well-built houses while my temple lies in ruins? From about 520 BCE. And it starts with the letter H.
Habakkuk.
No.
Haggai.
The other H. What have you done? What you have done will be done to you. He addressed the Edomites' delight at the Babylonian conquest of Judea in 586 BCE. Starts with an O. Ooh, my mother!
Aren't there any O's out there?
Right.
I will break the chains that bind you. Mid-7th century BCE, and he spoke to the Ninevites. And his name also starts with an N. Nathan. Nope, we did him.
Nahum.
See, now we'll know what your cover is. O Lord, how long must I cry for help before you listen? He was a contemporary of both Jeremiah and Ezekiel, and his name begins with an H. The other H.
Habakkuk.
You get that one. See, after 3 turns, you're allowed.
Okay.
I will pour out my spirit on everyone. His book is only 3 chapters long, and his name begins with a J. Nope. Joel. Boom.
You're doing very well, my son.
He is.
Congratulations.
I think he's going to win a free book in a second. Your king is coming to you, humble and riding on a donkey.
Zechariah.
All right.
Nice.
I am going to destroy everything on earth. He is of royal blood, and he foretold the destruction and anguish. And his name starts with a Z. And it's not Zechariah.
Not Zorro
Zephaniah.
either.
And it's Zephaniah. And I should not have to say anything, because if you were paying attention. Very good. All right, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back. And now we can eat the cake, because we know, pick your prophet. We'll be right back.
Everybody get up when you're feeling down. Everybody get up, turn your life around.
When you trust yourself, you have the power to make up your life. Studio 1031 is an environment where excellence is always expected. We work with all types of people from all walks of life. We give deserving women something that they wouldn't give themselves. Come join this makeup movement. When you're feeling down, turn your life around. Make up your life.
Do you have a book, either in your head or on your desk, just waiting to get out to anxious readers? Hi, I'm Stephanie Larkin, author, book developer, and head penguin at Red Penguin Books. We're a publishing company specializing in books of all genres and publishing in all formats, including digital, audible, and print books. From business books to romance, memoirs to mysteries, our authors have complete control over their books from start to print. We'll help get your book to booksellers all around. Major booksellers such as Amazon, Apple, Kobo, Walmart, even libraries and bookstores around the world. We believe in our authors. So call or email today to get your free publisher's packet to get started. Just visit us at redpenguinbooks.com and get your book out there and into the hands of your readers. At Red Penguin Books, you call all the shots. So call us today and turn your dreams into a reality. Welcome back to Between the Covers. Thanks for joining us. Well, we know that we have a very intelligent audience and guest panel here, so we are going to play Bible trivia. I gave my panel here bells. Whoops. There we go.
There we go.
It's better than those Jeopardy buzzers, but I know that Brother John was really hoping for the big kahuna there. I don't have enough bells to go around for my whole audience, but feel free. On that last round, I think we had like a two-way tie going here between Brother John McGrory and the Chaminade contingent in the audience here, made up of my sons. So this is all good. And I thank the author for
them.
Yes, exactly. So powerhouse on Long Island. So let's see how we do on Bible trivia. Okay, our first question. Noah sent 2 birds from the ark. What were they? Go ahead.
Raven and a dove.
And which one did he send first?
The raven.
Very good. You get 1 point.
Right.
We'll add them up later. All right, next question. Boy, that was way too fast. You're too good at this. I was trying. Next question. Name one of the 5 books in the Bible that contain only 1 chapter. And bonus if you gave the other 4.
Philemon.
Ooh, we got an Obadiah over here. And you're right about Philemon. There are 3 other books with just 1 chapter. Anybody in our audience can name them? Oh, we already we have the answer. Never mind, you can read the answer. I'm not going to tell you.
Is that one?
We can't read the answer here, but they can. Not Jude. Oh, yeah, Jude. See, you're reading it. That's not fair. Okay, next question. What did the mysterious hand write on the wall at King Belshazzar's banquet? Yes.
Mene, Tekel.
He's doing this without even seeing the choices. Do you see it's a multiple choice
it's
question?
multiple choice.
You're doing this without even knowing it's multiple choice.
No.
It's the third one.
Yes, the third.
Wait, you don't know how to say that?
My Hebrew is a little rusty.
Does anybody know how to? Do you know how to say that?
I don't.
Here, it's.
I can't even read it from here.
Here's what it says. Can you read that?
Oh,
The underlined thing.
Yeah. Mene tekel parsin.
Oh.
I think.
I can't believe you did that without...
That's the phrase God has weighed you and found you wanting.
Found you wanting.
Oh, God has weighed you and found you wanting?
Yep.
And
That's
what,
part of
like
the-
a hand?
the phrase, the handwriting on the wall.
Like a bodiless
Comes from
hand
the Book
just
of
came
Daniel.
up?
Yes.
Disembodied hand.
Wow.
They were having a dinner, and they were blaspheming God, and the hand came up, and all of a sudden they were all frightened, and Daniel came
I'd
in
be pretty scared.
and was the only one who could read the handwriting on the wall. That's where we get the phrase, the handwriting is on the
I
wall.
love that. I'm learning so much here. Okay, our next question. Where in the New Testament does it talk about the perseverance of Job? Is it Hebrews, Revelation, second letter of Timothy, or James? Ooh. We stumped them. No.
I would go with 2 Timothy for some reason.
No. We're running out of answers, but it is James. It is in the book of James. Wow, I finally found something to stump this audience here. Next question. Who was the first person to come upon the injured man in the parable of the Good Samaritan? The tax collector, the innkeeper, the priest, or the judge?
The priest.
And the priest.
Walked right by.
Walked right by him.
Yep.
I did not hear you. Have a card. Okay. Next question. Which New Testament book has Jesus' Sermon on the Mount? Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John? Yes.
Matthew.
You're right. You saw Godspell. Next question. What is the last book of the Old Testament? 2 Samuel, Job, Zephaniah, or Malachi?
It's a trick question.
Malachi.
Malachi. It is a bit of a trick question. You want to tell us why it's a bit of a trick question?
Because there's differences between the Catholic Bible, right, and the Protestant Bible. So
Would include the Maccabees.
Maccabees.
Right. So we don't have some, and it does make it a little tricky. Especially if I would have said, what is the 73rd book, or something like that. Then
Right.
definitely a trick question. Okay, our next question. According to Hebrews, God's word is blank and blank. Is it ancient and inspiring, living and active, gentle and instructive, or mysterious and wonderful?
It's living and active.
It is.
Cutting like any double-edged sword.
Listen to this. We're getting the whole book here. Okay, our next question. I hope you're appreciating the little pictures on the questions, too, everybody. Next question. Which of the following is not part of the armor of God? The belt of truth, the shield of knowledge, the sword of the Spirit, or the helmet of salvation? Which is not part of the armor of God? Nobody?
I'm not familiar with that phrase.
I didn't make it up.
I'll say the helmet.
Wrong.
Yeah, well, only a guess anyway.
The shield of knowledge. Very nice. I don't know. The freshman from Chaminade is just wiping the floor with us here. Our next question. What book of the Bible do you find Lydia of Thyatira's story? Isaiah, Prophets, Acts, or 1 Colossians?
Acts.
All right. You said it. You rang the bell because you know how to follow rules.
I play Jeopardy.
He knows how to follow rules. The next question. Where did Elijah meet with the prophets of Baal to prove that God is the one true God?
Okay, all right.
All right.
He didn't have a bell, so
He doesn't have a bell. Next question. In which book of the Bible is this verse found? Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not turn from it. Yes.
Proverbs.
You are right. It is Proverbs. Next question. What does this name of God mean? Jehovah Rapha. Is it the Lord who leads, the Lord who sends, the Lord who provides, or the Lord who heals?
I would have to go with the Lord who heals, because Raphael is the angel who heals in the book of Tobit.
Very nice. You're getting one, but I did hear somebody over here. I thought I heard my dad say that. I thought I heard a voice. Okay. And our last question. What is the name commonly given to the first 5 books of the Old Testament? All right, count up your points. Does anybody have more than 60 points?
60?
Anybody have more than 6?
I have 4.
I have 7.
7? What do you have?
I have 6.
You have 6?
I have 9.
How come I don't believe that, Dad? And we have an award. Thank you. Look at you. Very nice. You'll also get a free book, but it is your dad, so, you know.
You might have gotten it anyway.
You might have gotten one anyway, so there's that. You see, so I knew that we would have experts on the show. I just didn't know that they were going to be right here in the audience.
You have to be the guest on the next show.
Watch out. Next time I have a religious guest, he's going to be taking one of your spots here as our panelist. So what's next on the agenda for you?
Next on the agenda is going to be a project a little bit more difficult than this one. I really did enjoy writing about the prophets. So I think my next task will be to focus on the female prophets of the Old Testament.
Ooh, that's going to be a tiny
And
book.
the reason it's a project, I think, is they are fewer in number, and there is much less information about them.
Right.
So it's going to require, I think, a lot more research, and probably will require a lot more background information.
Right.
And maybe, I don't want to say stretching the truth, but maybe making some assumptions that may or may not be accurate.
Right.
So we'll see.
And filling in maybe more about the historical
background, exactly.
scenario.
Exactly. So that'll keep me busy.
Well, I saw Elyse give a big smile when she heard that you're working on a book on the female
So
prophets.
what are you going to, are there writings? Did they leave any writings? Or
You know, depending
people
upon,
write that stuff down?
I haven't noticed them writing anything that's been preserved as much as being discussed.
Right.
Huldah during the time of King Josiah, Moses' sister Miriam. There are several of them that are mentioned, and I think I just need to do a heck of a lot more investigative reporting, shall we call it. But I think it's going to make for a very, very interesting challenge, and I think that I'm going to learn a whole lot in the process, too.
All right. Well, we're going to start the research now. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Everybody get up when you're feeling down. Everybody get up, turn your life around.
When you trust yourself, you have the power to make up your life. Studio 1031 is an environment where excellence is always expected. We work with all types of people from all walks of life. We give deserving women something that they wouldn't give themselves.
Everybody get up.
Come join this makeup movement. When you're feeling down, turn your life around. Make up your life.
I know it's gonna be alright.
I'm saying to myself,
Welcome back to Between the Covers. Thanks for joining us. Well, now that we know what our new author is going to be up to next, we are definitely in the right place because you have 2 librarians, and I'm hoping that maybe on those shelves someplace are some reference materials that might help. I know there's not a lot about the female prophets, is there?
Right. Well, look, right?
I mean, you have a whole library full of things and probably
let you
never
know.
stumbled on that. Which
Right.
means that his book is going to be taken out as soon as it's ready.
There's a little space on the shelf for your book.
It's
We
ready.
need it.
I'll
It's
fill
ready.
that space.
We need
first
that.
The
chance.
space is there waiting for the book to come.
Okay.
Exactly,
So that's
exactly.
encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
Even this book, I think, does serve a purpose.
I hope
Because
so.
it's a nice introduction. And there's not that many books like that.
You know, if it encourages further exploration,
Yes.
then I'm very, very pleased.
And there's maps.
There are several maps. Yes.
That really helps.
I'm a visual person, so I really loved when you said let's put in some maps because I want to see where everybody is and where they're going. And because I'm so visual, I really liked seeing the pictures of what they look like, even though I realized that they used the same model 3 times for all the
They may
prophets.
not have looked exactly like that.
I mean, that's very true. I doubt they really looked just like that, but still, you know, it gives you an idea, a little smattering. So what would you like to leave our audience with for the week, shall we say? And this is a question for all of you, you know, whether it's a book tip or something to look into or something.
Well, I think I would suggest that if they feel inclined, they should look at the Bible with a fresh set of eyes and realize there's an awful lot in there that is not outdated, it's not ancient history,
Oh, I like
it's very,
that.
very timely, you know, for the society in which we live.
Right.
And there's a lot in there that they can find very inspirational.
Fantastic. Elyse?
Right, and if they do read about the Bible, read the Bible, or maybe just some books about the Bible like this, they're going to see these themes and characters and stories that they're going to recognize because these stories have been, they're in our culture right now.
Absolutely.
And it's going to resonate.
Fabulous. Brother John?
And I was going to say along those lines that if you read it and you read it seriously, you'll see these are real people. These are real people with real joys, with real problems, and those joys and problems are the same ones that we face today. And so there's something we can learn from them.
I think that's fabulous. Just like why you wrote it, so that we would have somebody to look up to. I love that. We're going to clear some cake plates. Kieran is going to be up here signing and selling books because it is a book launch party. And I thank you for joining us on Between the Covers. Visit us at BetweenTheCoversTV.com where you can watch past episodes and get links to all of our authors and their websites. And please, read a book. Thanks for joining us.